Hi everyone, welcome to the KP's Watches channel. Today we have a watch with a damaged Rolex crown. So on this watch itself, if I go ahead and try to set the time or wind the watch, you can see that this crown is actually loose and does not connect with the winding system. If I pull it out all the way, I can actually wind the watch, or if I pull it out to the second position and keep pressure pulling out, then I can change the time. But if I push it in very slightly like this, now I can just rotate the crown and it doesn't actually wind or change the time. The reason for that is that the crown itself has a spring inside that pushes the crown outwards, and that spring inside the crown is broken. So today we're going to go through how you can fix that on one of these watches. So the first thing we're going to do is take the case back off and remove the crown to view it. So I have already unscrewed the case back. I'm simply just going to go ahead and rotate it, and I'm going to pick it off. And here we have the movement. It needs a service, but we're going to address this broken crown first before we go ahead and take the watch apart for service. So I'm going to go ahead and very carefully remove the crown from the case. There we go. It is loose. And now I'm going to set the movement and the watch aside. So I'm going to put this back on. I'm going to leave this over here, and we're going to take a look at this crown. So this crown here that you can see in the video, you can see that it is actually loose in the case. This is not how it's supposed to work. The crown should have a spring to it, so it should sit like this, and I should have to push against this to go ahead and extend the crown. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open this crown to see what the issue with it is. When you take apart one of these crowns, it should come apart in the following 4 pieces. So this is what an exploded view of the crown would look like. If you were to take the watch apart, you should have a locking nut with a hexagonal lock inside it that the stem assembly and the little sort of collar goes into. There is a spring that is damaged, and then a crown that screws onto this outer case here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this damaged crown and open it up to show you what it looks like, and we'll walk you how you can do that. So the first thing we need to do is clamp this crown in a spring vise. So I'm going to move these parts to the side. They are a bit dirty. First thing we need to do is go ahead and open this crown up. So we have a spring vise that we're going to use, and I'm going to use 2 pliers. I'm going to use a plier and a second one right here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a spring vise, and we're going to go ahead and put the crown inside the spring vise and get it as high as you can. Get it as high as you can up the crown here. You don't want to grip the body of the crown over here. You want to bring it in as deep as possible and close this up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simply tighten it by hand. So this is the tightest it will go by hand. And that may not be tight enough to go ahead and disassemble the crown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my plier to hold one end of the pin vise, and I'm going to take the plier on the other end, and I'm going to rotate the plier a quarter of a turn. So here I have the plier, and I'm rotating the top of the thing so that we make almost a right angle between the 2 pliers, and that should add enough tightness that we can then go ahead and unscrew the crown. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have something to grip onto this crown, as it might be difficult to rotate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a simple green cloth, or any cloth with some level of grip should do. So here I have a green cloth. What I'm going to do is grip it inside and rotate. And I'm slowly, and now it feels a bit loose. I can feel that it's loose in here. So now I can go ahead and very slowly unscrew that, and there the cap has come off now. You can see the cap there, and the rest of the insides of it will be in here. Now in case that it's not coming out, that's completely fine. We will just need to unscrew this. So exactly as we did before, simply holding it with the pliers, very carefully, just rotate the cap off like that, and then we can go ahead and unscrew this by hand. And now I will put these away and very carefully remove the assembly. So here we have the rest of the assembly. Let me bring the camera down a little bit so that you can see this. Here we have the little spring that was inside, and this spring is the reason to why it was loose. This spring should be fully extended, but it is not. We then have the cap and the little collar with the stem inside. So now we just need to replace this spring, and then all should get back to usual, and we can simply reassemble this crown again. Reassembly of the crown is exactly the same as we just did in reverse order. You can use some Loctite in the threads itself to go ahead and ensure that this crown does not disassemble. And one thing to keep in mind is, in case the crown is still too tight to unscrew by fingers, you may need to just heat up the crown. So for example, this crown here is a bit darker in color because I heated it up a little bit just to get the glue or any sort of sediment that stopped the thread from opening up. I just heated that up so that it loosens and softens, and then you can open up the crown. So that's what I did for this one. And then, you can remove the color or the oxidation by polishing the crown again very lightly. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this shows you how to open up a Rolex crown, and you can be very careful. Things to keep in mind out for is this tube right here. It has a hexagonal inner to it. You do not want to compress that hexagonal shape. Otherwise, the crown will not lock and turn with this nut, and you won't be able to wind the watch. So be sure that you grip this collar high up closer to the threads than to the end here with this hexagonal shape. Because if that hexagonal shape gets out of shape or it gets bent, it will not lock on the stem right here. Thank you for watching. Here we have the spring that was taken out of the crown, and you can see that it's actually split into two halves. They were combined into one, but they're actually split into two halves. The other crown that I also took apart had the same issue. It's a spring that is split into two halves and then somehow coiled into itself. So this spring needs to be replaced, and once it has been replaced, the crown will work as it should.